able to change microphones and cameras and everything else in the middle of the stream, but it won't scroll down to where you can get to there in this. Okay, let's see. Go here. No, I just touched the computer, Chris. I didn't touch the wrong button. I touched the computer. Say it just, all I do is, if I move the computer, apparently the Ethernet connection screws up or something. I don't know why. I don't know what. I don't know how. And when I did the first one, I forgot I got to change the damn microphone and camera and stuff. You can't do that in the middle of a stream. Isn't that really smart? It's a brand new cable, Rock. I have a feeling it's more in the computer or the where the two meet, but I don't know. Never does it on anything else. I can be sitting here doing anything on the computer, on the internet, blah, 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 shake it around. Nothing ever happens. Only on the live streams. Yep. So, I don't know. I hate electrons.
Electrons hate you too. The feeling is entirely mutual.
It's a hate relationship. Anyhow, so let's say that's basically the situation. Yeah, I say if we had one of her sons here, they could probably test it. Well, I didn't find any gold today, but I crushed up, 1,300 pounds of rock today. I did 200 on Friday. Got another 1,500-pound batch in the tank. Not sure how much gold is in it. Don't have an assay for it yet. That's another thing that Eva's going to be doing this winter. We've been taking a lot of samples, most of which lately have not been going to the lab because once we put it on the pad and leach it, we get a bulk assay basically. And then, so we got a lot of samples for Eva to fire assay this winter to practice on. So that'll be good. There wasn't much use on doing much rock assaying until we had that chart Chris came up with. You're going to be out here next week? Is that it? Is that what you're saying, smoking? That would be way cool. Check in with me at least a few days ahead of time. No, Jim, it was just I touched the computer, and so The connection's screwed up. Um, yeah, it'd be great to see you smoking. Oh, especially now that the weather's closing in. That's going to really slow things down. Okay, so Rock says up in Ontario, they used to get about 50 plus kids pre COVID. Tonight they've had 19, only one small one. The rest were teenagers.
Teenagers should not be trick or treating.
Well,
They're over 15. They're lame. It's rude. It's selfish.
they've screwed everything up so badly. Oh, it's amazing. It's going to get interesting in a little over a week, too. We'll see what happens. But people are very unsettled, I think. You know, I would think where you're at, Rock, that crime isn't an issue, is it? So it's just a matter of people are just not used to being out and coming into, call it, social contact with other people anymore. Is that how you read it? Yeah. Here in Helena, everyone seems to be acting pretty much normal. You see the occasional person with a face mask, not too many. What would you say, like 1 out of 50?
Yeah, most. One in about 200 if you're not around the hospital.
Yeah, if you're not in a place that requires it, like the hospital or the doctor's office, yeah. So it's everyone's behaving pretty normally here. You can see the labor market still hasn't completely rebounded. I don't know. What would you say? Is there anything that you noticed? Anything that's weird running around town right now?
No.
That seems pretty normal. Rock's thinking maybe the kids' families have moved out.
Did you see any kids on the road anywhere?
Kids on the road?
Yeah, going from house to house when you came home. Usually younger children were out before the sun goes down.
I was on a highway. I was on Euclid.
Yeah, I remember like when you turn down here in Park.
I turn down here, I go 50 feet and I park.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, seen very few Halloween decorations, and Walmart was still filled with big bags of candy. All the cheap stuff was gone as of the other day. All the name brand candies, they still had tons.
You were saying that the cheap generic candies were sold out, but all the name brand stuff was just piling up on the shelves at Walmart. I don't know. Unfortunately, we don't do candy anymore. Resort Dog says parties kind of took over years ago. I think you're probably right on that. Yeah, Resort Dog. Yeah, there should be some sales tomorrow. I'm not sure what the whole holiday season is going to be like too, because
well, according to the folks over on Supply Chain, unless this year is a historic record-breaking Christmas shopping season, all retail is in serious trouble.
Crystal has 2 unopened bags of peanut butter cups from last year. People with money are still spending it. That may be true, but how many people have money and how many people don't? I don't know. It's an interesting question that's kind of hard properly evaluate, considering can't really trust the stats too well. I see we got 8 people back. Thieving is up as that's an indicator. I think it is. We have enough money for what we need without a problem, but we don't have, we needed to, lay out a couple grand for something tomorrow. We'd be in, that would be tough. But our expenses are pretty darn predictable since I'm on Medicare and she's on Medicaid. So that makes it pretty simple. And that makes it a lot easier to not have, cash reserves and not stress too much. So, but I have a feeling a lot of people are hurting. That's my guess. And we'll just have to see how to. We get compensated, Rock. I don't like to discuss stuff on open forums, but yeah, there's some compensation involved. Doesn't take much, I say, for what we do. Fear of new project. I know I am very trepidatious of predicting anything or making any commitments, even in the intermediate future, a month from now, sort of thing. Yeah, I spent decades, Rock, trying to get rich, working my ass off, doing this, that, and the other. And every time I get close, somebody would screw it up for me. Not me. Somebody else would do something which would screw it up. And eventually, it just kind of segued into this. And I'm having more fun than I've had a long, long time. I don't know if I've had more fun overall than I am right now. So I'm happy. I'm not stressing. We feel secure. So, that's pretty good now. We don't have any young kids we have to take care of. We don't have any properties we have to pay mortgages on. Things like that to an ordinary person becomes really compelling. If you've got a $250,000 house and inflation goes through the roof, life sucks. We don't. So therefore, a lot of this stuff just passes us by because we're so low profile. And so I'm pretty happy with that. But I don't think I'm the only person that's noticed in our current society, you either have to have a lot of money or very little money to get by okay. And so that's why we do that. You notice last year when Eva, got sick, unlike 2 years before when I got sick, we were asking for help. All we had to ask for was prayers, because didn't really need any financial help, because we don't have these recurrent expenses that we have to pay where life gets bad. And we're odd that way. Um, and most people don't. Most people really couldn't. You can't raise kids like that. You can't take care of, you know, um, infirm relative or something like that if you have any resources without losing them, you know. And so let's say it works pretty good. Yeah, Rob, I say you got kids are a huge responsibility. But all our kids are growing. Heck, my youngest grandkid is, I don't know, probably 22, 23 right now, bigger than me. So, I say I'm say it is nice. I gotta be honest. You know, this is like when I help Lauren out, not asking for anything, don't need it. You know, when I need help fixing my truck, go over his shop and fix the truck. I would suggest budgeting the fishing boat earlier than that, Rock. You know, what you need to do is convince the family that the family needs a boat. I'm in pretty good shape, Jim. Um, I haven't heard a request from my oldest daughter in a long time. And my son, I don't give him any money. He's worn out that welcome. And my youngest daughter, hell, she's in better shape than any of us. She's doing just fine. So, yeah, right now, if I needed money, I'd be hitting up my kids. Oh, but say I understand that we are kind of a unusual. Hey, flash in your pan, how's it going? Yeah, I'm not sure why Mr. Lodak's not here tonight. Um, people probably has something to do with Halloween. Probably got kids or something like that. And um, who knows? I noticed it's lower than usual. Of course, that was because I went and screwed up too. But I imagine Halloween has something to do with things. And I say we shall see what we shall see. Flash, since you just showed up, a couple of things. Number one, Eva's got a compression fracture in her middle back that's not causing her too much problems or isn't very dangerous, but she's now on light duty. And we've got a table that Chris has made using a spreadsheet so that if you're doing assaying at home, one of the problems with fire assaying is you get these really, really small beads. And it's, thank you, Flash. And they're very, very difficult to weigh. But by using a little pen microscope like this with a reticle, you can measure their size quite easily and relatively precisely. This will do it to within 1,000th of an inch. And then by using the table, you can determine the approximate weight down to very, very small weights. I mean, what was it? 0.005 milligrams is 2 thousandths of an inch or something like that. So as I say, Chris has made a nice chart that tells you not only how big the bead is, but depending upon the sample size, what your ore grade is. So if you need one of those, email me and I can send you the PDF. Okay. Oh, let's see. I got to figure out how to. I know we downloaded the PDF somewhere, but whether it's simpler just to.
It's been downloaded
forward
already, Bear. I will find it for you if you need it.
Well, the thing is it easier just to grab? Because to reply to an email is fairly simple. To forward Chris's email is fairly simple. But to forward Chris's email to somebody's email, else's email, that requires me, because I think it'll be pretty easy. And, but yeah, I say anyone that wants one, just send me a request by email and I'll get you a PDF and you can print one out yourself. It goes from 1/1000th of an inch to 1/10 of an inch by thousandths. So there's 100 different sizes there. Yeah, Eve will help me on that, Chris. I'm sure I can do it one way or another without too much trouble. I'm just wondering what's the easiest.
I'm the one that got it to print.
Yeah. But anyhow, so I said those are the two big things this week. That, and it looks like next week it's going to get way too cold. So we're going to have to winterize the mill and the lab. Yeah, Jim, if you get done up there on the hill and get back down here, people got lots of questions for you. At least you're on the chat now. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a placer dude. You're the expert. Been trying to do what I can. Oh. But yeah, it is nice when people come up with questions. It really does drive things. And yeah, Lauren says he's got a hydrometer for the antifreeze. Wiper fluid? Well, that would assume that my truck actually has a washer pump and a few other things like that, Chris.
Spoiler alert, it doesn't.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm always. You betcha, Rock. That would be great. Actually, I've got some 90% isopropyl rubbing alcohol for de-icing. Seems to work pretty good. Although what I usually like to do, if it's anywhere near the freezing point, is to just get some hot water first thing in the morning, and not too hot, but I mean, warm water, and do the windshield that way, because that keeps it from refreezing later. Heated wiper blades, not another circuit to wire in. Oh, that old 76 only has so much modifications you could do easy. I'm sure it has everything where you could put washer fluid and stuff in it. That's Lars for you. You take care, Lincoln. Thank you. Lars says, use high intensity headlight fluid. It works better. Yeah, we were thinking of the Rain-X, especially on the inside of the windshield.
Fog-X.
Did you ever get pulled over by the cops when you were using your vodka windshield wiper fluid, Rock? Yeah, that could be a little hard to explain. Yeah, back when I was a teenager in Yuma, we'd go across the border into Mexico and get 96% grain alcohol for $2 a quart. Yeah, it was pretty cheap. And that's what it was called too. It wasn't Everclear or something. It was just alcohol. But that was the cheapest alcohol. And just mix it with a lot of juice. Works fine. Oh, I presume the tinfoil hat goddess will be here shortly. Don't have a lot to talk about.
Oh, you can make all the presumptions you want, dude.
Ooh. Yeah, this was not denatured. This was actual Everclear, except that it was called alcohol. The kosher bacon stretcher. Oh.
Howdy, everybody. So, next week we have an election. We also have a blood moon, a full lunar eclipse, supposedly happening on election night. We shall see. Hopefully, there are no clouds so I can see a lunar eclipse. Hi, David. Well, as we all know, Brazil had their election and Lula won. Bolsonaro lost by like fractions of a percent, and protests are already going on. So that's the way that goes.
Who's protesting, the right or the left?
To answer his question, the pro Bolsonaro trucking industry is running rolling roadblocks on the highway and parking their trucks and refusing to move. And other people are protesting as well. When you look at the breakdown on the map, coincidentally, the state that massively voted in Lula's favor is apparently a Brazilian state that also has massive amounts of criminal activity of all kinds. Who knows? We shall see. We shall see what we shall saw on that one. Thank you, Flash in your pan. I'm trying to heal. Trust me, I'm trying to heal. This is ridiculous. Pure Gold Mining seeks creditor protection. Well, let's see what's going on with Pure Gold today. Canadian precious metals miner Pure Gold Mining has applied for an initial order for creditor protection from the Supreme Court of British Columbia, having considered its cash position, debt repayments, and forecasted revenue. The cash-strapped miner kicked off in July a corporate review that sought to decide whether to sell the company, merge with a peer, divest its flagship gold mine in Red Lake, Ontario, or find other long-term financing options. Pure Gold had to place its namesake mine under care and maintenance last week as it failed to secure funds to keep operations going, despite increasing production and cash flow. The Vancouver-based firm said the initial order seeks a stay of creditor claims and proceedings and authorization to borrow under an interim finance credit facility from its lending partner, Sprott Private Resource Lending II. Yeah, Sprott. We're talking PSLV there. Okay. Yeah. Sketchy. It also comprises the appointment of KSV Restructuring as court-appointed company monitor. While under creditor protection, Pure Gold would consider all available transactional and restructuring options with the goal of maximizing the value for the company and its shareholders, the TSX-V and LSE listed company said. The Pure Gold mine will remain on care and maintenance, and the management of the company will be responsible for day-to-day operations under the oversight of KSV. The company poured first gold at its eponymous mine by the end of 2020 and announced the start of commercial production in August 2021. The operation, however, has struggled to consistently produce at its nameplate capacity of 800 tons a day, despite mill upgrades that intended to increase capacity to 1,000 tons a day. The miner noted the operation has also failed to achieve consistent positive site-level cash flow and expected additional funding had not materialized. Construction delays, bad scheduling, problems with equipment, and strategic misalignments. Strategic misalignments were quoted by the miner to explain production shortfalls. The mounting issues triggered a change in leadership earlier this year. So, that certainly has interesting implications. Western Copper and Gold updates permitting for casino project in Yukon. Western Copper and Gold offers the latest news on permitting for its casino copper gold project owned through its subsidiary Casino Mining. The executive committee of the Yukon Environmental and Socioeconomic Assessment Board has notified the company it's necessary to revise these guidelines to bring them up to date with current technology. Western Copper has been in discussion with the YESAB on how to address changes in assessment methods, environmental-based practices, and enhancements to the casino project since the original guidelines were issued in 2016. The company says the revision process will begin immediately and is not expected to have a material impact on the timing of the overall permitting process. The company is committed to ensuring the review of the casino project occurs in a robust manner, using the most up-to-date methodologies in environmental assessment, and this review will achieve that without material impact to overall timelines.
Yeah.
CEO Paul West-Sells said in a media statement, "We remain confident the casino project is a great asset for Yukon that will provide benefits to Yukon communities and First Nations for generations to come. The feasibility study prepared for casino gives the project an after-tax net present value, 8% discount, of 2.23 billion Canadian and an after-tax internal rate return of 18.1%. A mine life of 27 years is anticipated, during which time the project will generate an after-tax cash flow of 10 billion Canadian. Total pre-production capital needs will be 3.262 billion Canadian, but the payback period is only 3 years. The deposit is measured and indicated resources of 1.37 billion tons, grading 0.10% copper and 14 grams per ton gold that are suitable for milling. The heap leach measured and indicated resources are 231.7 million tons, grading 0.04% copper and 0.25 grams per ton gold. Interesting. I'm sure Rock Butcher knows about this. Yeah, Sprott is a solid investment company. I have my wonders about Sprott personally, but that's just because I have a thing about if you don't hold it, you don't own it. That's just the way it is. Yeah, I didn't say it was Canadian, but I will say this. I have my doubts about them anyway. Weather has been okay to this point. Next couple of days, maybe not, huh, Miner Jim? Well, I mean, we're going to have to move everything this week because we've got that cold snap coming in. Brazil's President-elect Lula vows greener mining. This should be good.
Plant grass.
A new Brazilian government under President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva could mean more environmental responsibility, according to a group representing the mining cities of the country. Leftist former Brazilian President Lula was elected this Sunday for a third presidential term, winning over far-right incumbent Jair Bolsonaro. In the last 4 years, there's been a reduction in environmental protection. The Amazon today is no man's land, said Waldir Salvador, institutional relations consultant at the Associação dos Municípios Mineradores do Brasil, which represents 70% of the country's mineral production. The truth is that the current government has practically not changed the reality of what was being practiced with public mining policies in Brazil. Mining in Brazil has been neglected for a long time. According to the association, during Lula's first term, 2003 to 2006, the government had a dynamic mining minister that built a new regulatory framework for mining. Despite the presence of mining giant Vale in the country, mining accounts for only 2.4% of Brazil's GDP. Last week, former President Lula released proposals for the sector in a letter. The document outlines investments in strategic natural resources, sustainable mining for energy transitions, zero deforestation, zero carbon emissions, but without setting targets. How interesting. Lula also promised to end illegal mining in the Amazon. Good luck with that. It seems to me the last time the goddess followed the money, a whole lot of the money that went into Lula's campaign came from the same enterprises that are in charge of the illegal mining. But that's probably a coincidence, Just saying. Between 2015 and 2020, Brazil traded 229 tons of gold with evidence of illegality, equivalent to almost half the gold produced and exported by the country. Under the presidency of Lula and his Workers' Party successor, Dilma Rousseff, deforestation fell by 72%. Bolsonaro has long railed against Brazil's indigenous people for occupying too much land, 13% of the country, and hindering the economic development of untold mineral resources. In that, I strongly disagree with him. Indigenous people kind of get to sort of live where they actually live. I mean, after all, the whole concept of making people leave where they have always lived to go someplace else so that you can use their shit is a really, really not nice concept here, okay? Brazilian miners, however, expect the sector to remain the same. Companies like Vale, Anglo American, and Rio Tinto are expected to invest about $40 billion in projects in Brazil through 2026. The two candidates' stances, even though they are quite different, in one we would have a certain continuity of current policy, in the other it would be something that has already been observed. Top Industry Association IBRAM's Sustainability and Regulations Director, Julio Neri, told Reuters. That's why we don't expect a flight of investments due to the election, said Neri. IBRAM has previously come out against a potential proposal from Lula to raise royalties on specific mining projects. Under the rule drafted by mining specialists working for Lula, the government would charge an increased royalty rate known as a special stake on minerals of exceptionally high value. Interesting. That could be rather interesting. All things together. All things taken into consideration, we shall see what we shall see. I have friends down in Brazil that are not exactly in the best of moods over this. Apparently, the last couple of times Lula's been in charge, he's been using a whole lot of Brazilian money to prop up infrastructure in countries like Cuba and other communist countries and socialist countries in Central and South America, rather than actually using the Brazilian taxpayers' money on Brazilian taxpayers. And that kind of annoyed a few people. I have no idea why that would be the case. I mean, obviously, the United States government does exactly the same thing, so it must be an amazing idea. But, who am I to say? After all, look where we are now. You really don't want to look too closely at where we are now. The U.S. debt clock is looking really, really bad. You want to have a scary Halloween? Go look at that puppy. Could a red wave cool off the retail bullion market? Really now? We all know there's not going to be a red wave, but that's fine. We shall see what we shall see. Americans will vote in the midterm elections next Tuesday, the first Tuesday following the first Monday in the month of November, by the way, for those who wanted to know the exact rule here. The latest polling suggests a red wave is building, and Republicans may win the majority in both the House and the Senate. The election results will have implications for all markets, and that includes precious metals. Mass psychology is one factor. Confidence in U.S. institutions has been in decline for several decades. No shit, Sherlock. Ya think? However, when we see a marginal restoration of confidence, it can impact the fiscal market demand for bullion. Accordingly, should Republicans win big next week, red-hot bullion demand could cool off for a period of time. Wow, that means all the people I know that are waiting for back-ordered products and have gone through multiple delivery delays buying online may actually get their stuff. Cool. If the red wave fails to materialize, however, no possible way that could happen. That could be viewed as confirmation the country will continue barreling down the wrong track. You don't say. In that event, it is safe to say bullion investors will be inclined to keep stacking gold and silver more than ever. It is less certain as to exactly how much confidence they will get from a Republican Congress. Well, this looks like about as much confidence as I have in the people calling themselves Republicans. So, it's all about expectations and whether politicians immediately start walking the talk. Politicians walking the talk. That is an oxymoron if I've ever seen one. There are some things a new Congress can do. One of the first battles will be over the federal budget and the debt ceiling. Americans will find out pretty quickly whether enough genuine conservatives are in position to actually hold the line on deficits and debt. Ain't going to happen. Balancing the U.S. budget involves making some very hard choices. That is why most politicians have viewed taking a hardline position on the budget as political suicide. Gold bugs must also temper their expectations based on what Congress cannot do. Major legislative reforms would have to wait for a president who is oriented towards sound money principles. Ain't going to happen either. Overriding a presidential veto requires 2/3 vote in both houses, and nobody is expecting a red wave big enough to deliver such a margin. Congress cannot do anything about the $31 trillion in debt already on the books, or the mushrooming interest payments associated with that debt. Interest rates are just one of a whole universe of market drivers outside of the purview of Congress. The goddess takes some issue with that. This is not entirely outside the purview of Congress. If appropriate legislation was passed and adhered to, or if appropriate constitutional amendments were passed and adhered to, or SCOTUS actually pulled their heads out of their collective butts and overturned some prior rulings, and the federal government actually listened to SCOTUS, which isn't happening at the moment, yeah, it is kind of in their purview, okay? Politicians here also can't control problems developing elsewhere in the world. Problems developing elsewhere in the world are not our circus and not our monkeys. 99% of the reason we're in the trouble we're in now is because we keep poking our noses into other people's business. There is something to be said for the Monroe Doctrine here, okay? They won't decide whether Russia escalates the war in Ukraine or if there is a currency crisis in the UK. They cannot prevent a black swan type event in financial markets, such as the failure of Deutsche Bank or Credit Suisse. Next week's election is bound to impact the metals markets. Should Republicans win big, investors may expect a degree of fiscal discipline would be restored and inflation will come down. That could mean a temporary slowdown in the demand of coins, rounds, and bars. However, any sky-high expectations for the new Congress are unlikely to be met. In a little side note, when we went down to our local coin shop this week so I could pick up my weekly silver, they had bought an estate collection, a numismatic collection. And I got to hold in its nice protective case in my hands a beautiful Carson City gold piece. Retail value $6,500. The dude who bought it bought several others at the same time. Okay. It was very crowded down at the coin shop today.
That was.
Unlike other coin shops that I hear about online, ours still has quite a lot of inventory, which is a good thing because I like inventory. Inventory's cool. I got a couple of bars and I got some rounds. As a matter of fact, I got an OPM bar, Ohio Precious Metals. I couldn't resist it for the history. I mean, really now. The notorious OPM. And in gold news, gold closed at $1637.50 and silver closed at $19.36, up a whole 22 cents today on the silver. That's not bad. We're seeing more and more divergences happening between the precious metals market and the real world. At the moment, while spot prices are staying in the doldrums, premiums across the country and on online sites are going up fairly rapidly. This is something that a lot of people often wonder about because, we don't want everything turning out like our American Silver Eagles at over 100% premium on a new Silver Eagle if you can get one. Good luck with that. But there is a fundamental disconnect between the paper spot price and the actual perceived value of metals. And from what I've seen, I took a rather wide survey across several internet websites and amongst several hundred different people. And the premiums we're paying here are in line with the premiums everybody's paying everywhere else. And they're somewhat in line with the premiums online, excluding the flash sales that some of the online bullion companies do on and off here and there. So it is safe to say that the market price of gold and silver is, while it is suppressed, the market price is more accurate as to the value than the spot price is. That has always been the case, but we're beginning to see more and more divergence. Our local coin shop dealer said that their premiums that they pay have gone up again. And a lot of people are getting multiple delayed shipment notices from the various companies they buy from, both coin dealers and average consumer retailers like us. Walmart, of all people, still ends up being the place that will deliver your silver the fastest. If you can find the APMEX branded and APMEX package delivered from APMEX, rounds and coins, on Walmart.com, and you want your silver or gold fast, that's actually the best place to buy it at the moment, which is still passingly bizarre to me, okay? The internal sentiment on the financial pages and in the financial forums is that gold should level out around $2,200 an ounce in the beginning of next year. Silver should level out at around $25 to $30 an ounce in the beginning of next year. Of course, everybody puts the caveat that depends on what happens in the upcoming election next week, which perhaps we should call it a selection rather than an election, because there's a whole lot of weird shit going on places that we can't talk about at all. Obviously. I mean, that goes without saying.
Not on YouTube.
Yeah.
Not on YouTube. No, no, no. On YouTube, this is the very, very safe and secure, absolutely the gold standard of elections. In other news, when they mentioned Deutsche Bank and Credit Suisse in that article, they weren't just pulling names out of thin air. Credit Suisse has been quietly putting a lot of their valuable physical assets on the market and trying to get them sold for something other than yard sale prices. They are also out shopping around looking for about $4 billion Swiss in capital for some bizarre and unaccountable reason. I mean, after all, they are a bank. It's not like they should need to borrow $4 billion, but apparently things happen. You know, things do indeed happen. And the concept of too big to fail may well come into play here, which is not necessarily a good thing. We can say that with some certainty here that this is not a good thing. And in conspiracy theory news, coming out of the QTR's Fringe Finance on Quoth the Raven, 5 lingering questions about the bizarre Paul Pelosi attack. Yes, we just have to go here, okay? This whole situation is just too funny. There's a good chance the attack happened exactly the media and left-wing politicians are reporting it. But I've also identified 5 questions everyone should be anxiously awaiting the answers to. Everybody was stunned on Friday morning when news broke that the 82-year-old husband of Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, had been assaulted inside of his home in the early morning with a hammer. And yes, I genuinely do hope that the old guy is feeling better. That's no friggin' joke. I mean, this is ridiculous, okay? The shock and awe grew after it seemed to become clear the assailant was looking for the Speaker of the House herself, third in line to the presidency. An assailant broke into the home and asked, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" according to NBC News in the Bay Area. San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott called it an intentional attack. Quote, "This was not a random attack. This was intentional. And it's wrong. Our elected officials are here to do the business of their cities, their countries, and their states and this nation. Their families don't sign up for this to be harmed, and it's wrong," which it is. As such, DePape is now facing charges of attempted murder and other felonies. Well, I would hope the hell he is. I wholly condemn the attack, as I do all violence, especially political violence. That is from the author of the article. This is an outrage, and our hearts are with the entire Pelosi family. We pray Paul will make a full recovery, former Vice President Mike Pence tweeted this weekend. Though I'm hardly a fan of Ted Cruz, I think he said it best when he wrote on Twitter this weekend, "We can have our political differences, but violence is always wrong and unacceptable." It is not in any way in dispute that Pelosi was attacked violently and wound up in the hospital as a result of his injuries. It's also not in dispute 911 was called and dispatcher Heather Grimes had the intuition to order a wellness check at the household based on what she heard. Her intuition may well save Pelosi's life, and she should be commended for it. Politicians on the left wasted absolutely no time attributing the Pelosi attack to the Republican Party and far-right white nationalists. And as Glenn Greenwald writes Sunday morning, it's very possible the instantly formed media narrative will be proven true. Hillary Clinton said this on Saturday. The Republican Party and its mouthpieces now regularly spread hate and deranged conspiracy theories. It is shocking but not surprising that violence is the result. As citizens, we must hold them accountable for their words and the actions that follow. Representative Ilhan Omar tweeted out on Saturday the attacker, DePape, was a far-right white nationalist. A far-right white nationalist tried to assassinate the Speaker of the House and almost killed her husband, a year after violent insurrectionists tried to find her and kill her in the Capitol, and the Republican Party's response is to ignore or belittle it. President Biden, with seemingly little to no evidence, attributed the attack to 2020 election deniers. Oh, and by the way, he also released a nice statement about how we should all remember our friends and neighbors with Alzheimer's because this is National Alzheimer's Awareness Month. You can't just say, feel badly about the violence. We condemn it. Condemn what produces the violence. This talk produces the violence. The generic point I want to make is it's one thing to condemn the violence, but you can't condemn the violence unless you condemn those people who continue to argue the election was not real and it was being stolen. While these politicians may ultimately prove to be right, it's worth noting there are some basic journalistic gaps in the story that need to be answered. The first question, what was DePape's true motivation? Both sides in the media have painted the assailant in different lights. Politico wrote he subscribed to the discredited narrative that the 2020 presidential election was illegitimate and espoused a range of bigoted and radical beliefs. He expressed anti-Semitic views and appeared to embrace QAnon, which posits a secret cabal of pedophiles has been protected by people in power. But then there was this New York Post opinion post and Substack post by Michael Schellenberger, which noted DePape lived with a notorious local nudist in a Berkeley home, complete with a Black Lives Matter sign in the window and an LGBT rainbow flag emblazoned with a marijuana symbol hanging from a tree. Okay. DePape's neighbors said, what I know about the family is they're very radical activists. They seem very left. They're all about the Black Lives Matter movement, gay pride, but they're very detached from reality. They've called the cops on several of the neighbors, including us, claiming we're plotting against them. It's really weird to see they're willing to be so aggressive towards somebody who's also a lefty. Finally, on Sunday, it was reported DePape's ex and purported former life partner, Oksan Saub, told Fox News he used to be left-leaning. When I met him, he was only 20 years old, didn't have any experience in politics, and very much in alignment with my views. I'm very progressive. I admire Nancy Pelosi. It's possible that these leaders on the left are correct. There's also the possibility DePape's mental faculties were lacking or something entirely different was taking place. Yeah, quite possible. Who is the unidentified person that let law enforcement into the home the morning of the break-in? Politico reported earlier this weekend there was apparently a third person in the home at the time of the incident. Now, this has been debunked, but then the debunking of that was also debunked, so we're still up in the air on this part here. David DePape forced his way into the home through a back entrance, Scott said. Officers arrived at the house, knocked on the front door, and were led inside by an unknown person. They discovered DePape and Pelosi struggling for a hammer. After they instructed them to drop the weapon, DePape took the hammer and violently attacked Pelosi. Third question. Whether or not it is normal for glass to be on the outside of the home during a forced entry into the home. It was reported that the suspect, not law enforcement, entered through the sliding glass door. The break-in at Nancy Pelosi's house is suspected to be targeted, law enforcement sources tell ABC News. The suspect allegedly entered the house through a sliding glass door carrying a hammer and was apparently looking for the house speaker. Putting aside, these are French doors, not sliding glass doors, one must then ask if this is the point of entry in question. Yeah. Since the broken glass is on the outside of the door. Just one of those things. And the biggest question, of course, is security. And why was Paul Pelosi allowed to take a bathroom break in the middle of this attack/invasion by someone that he said he didn't know, but he said was a friend? The whole situation is 50 shades of bizarre. I will say that. I think it's absolutely disgusting that anyone would beat up an 82-year-old dude with a hammer. That's just ridiculous. We're going to put aside the fact that we still don't know, though several reports have said that both the dudes were in their underwear. Now, I would expect Paul Pelosi to be in his underwear at 2 a.m. since this is his house. One generally doesn't expect an attacker to be in their underwear. But then again, the guy's a nutball. That is where we are with that. It is absolutely bizarre. It's ridiculous. And yes, the right wing is being absolutely blamed for it. The GOP has been blamed for it. The election deniers have been blamed for it. Trump has been blamed for it, but he gets blamed for everything. And in the middle of all this, a familiar voice was heard echoing out of Clown World. Hillary Clinton released an emergency video to her irresponsible, no, not irresponsibles, irredeemable, no, not irredeemables, indivisibles. I'm sorry, indivisibles. That's what she calls them. Her indivisibles. I know you're going to find this very shocking, so I hope you're sitting down. According to Hillary Clinton, it was her turn queen. The Republicans are actively going to steal this election, and they're going to actively steal the 2024 election.
Election denier, election denier.
They're doing it in the most heinous, perfidious, horrific way at the state level. They're going to elect state legislatures that will actually do their job and oversee the election process. Heaven forbid. Heaven forfend. This is a fate worse than having to watch AOC dance. Okay? This is bad, okay, people? Our state legislatures may actually do their constitutionally appointed job. They may actually choose electors without taking the popular vote into account. Whatever shall we do if we actually get back to running an election constitutionally, with our state legislators setting election law such that it happens on one day in person with ID, results in by midnight? No wonder she's scared. Now that we have an election season that's probably longer than fall is in this state, no wonder. But anyway, yes, she sent an alarm call out to all her indivisibles, those people. She sent an alarm call out that they all have to head to the polls and they all have to fix their states on their local levels to make sure that the people elected in their state legislatures never undermine the utterly unconstitutional democratic process that they have now managed to usher into place thanks to COVID. Amazing, isn't it? Bye.
I'm amazed.
Buy more chicken.
Oh, oh, oh. Mm. Oh,
I see how much you love me. You fall asleep while I'm on the air.
Oh, yeah, I was just overwhelmed by your magnificence. Okay. So, where was I at? Blindside says, thank you. Rock Butcher and Miner Jim are talking about something.
They're probably talking about mining.
Yep. Argonaut, I presume you're talking to me on that one. The Student Roth has not had to have a change out on anything at this point. I took it apart sufficiently to be able to visualize the rotor, and there is significant wear, but it's nowhere near requiring replacement. At that point, we'd run 5 to 10 tons through it, and we figured, the way the season's going, it probably won't be, we won't have another 5 tons by the end of the season, so we didn't worry about doing any maintenance just yet. We'll do that in the winter when that's what we can do. Chris came up with the idea of putting a little, like a little crane, just basically a piece of pipe with an arm and, a hand crank winch so that we can, reach over there, hook onto stuff, pick it up, swing it over, and set it down, and like that to make maintenance in the future easier. That sounds like a pretty good idea to me. The we'll have a much better idea once I get together with Eva and find out just how much ore has gone through that mill. She's the one keeping the mill records. And so we'll have to see how many batches and how many pounds per batch and stuff. And then we'll have a really good idea of exactly how many tons went through it. I know that the later batches were less abrasive because we were running less quartz, because all the quartz that we were running into was pretty low grade. So we could just throw it off the dump. And so that's our situation there. We'll tear it apart. The wear bars on the housing, etc., seem to be in even better shape than the rotor. But we'll get it all apart. We'll have a video on that. And for all the people who just got in recently here, first of all, Eva's got a compression fracture on one of her vertebrae. It's not real dangerous. It's not horribly painful, but it does mean that she's on light duty status for the foreseeable future. Without her to offload the high line, we're not going to be doing any mining. We may be doing some dump screening if we get good patches of weather down the road and we're not doing anything else. That was something we could do, go out there for a couple of days. And Chris made us a table, 2 pages, so that you can tell from the diameter of a gold bead from an assay what the approximate weight is, all the way down to 1/1000th of an inch. So if you take a little pocket microscope like this with a reticle, you can do some home assaying fairly easily down to reasonable low grades. I'd say that a 2/1000th of an inch bead would be reasonable in terms of a lower limit. With what Eva's going to be doing, a quarter assay ton, that would be 0.005 ounces per ton. That's a pretty good low detection limit. OSB, oriented strand board. That's that weird chipboard stuff they put together. It's like plywood, but cheaper and not as good. They use it a lot in construction. And yeah, it's those 4x8 sheets. They were up to what, almost $80 or something a year or two ago. I think construction is going to be going way down because the interest rates are going up, which means that financing for housing especially is going to become more expensive. And as such, I think you're going to see the housing market really pull back. Wow. Rock says that last year a 4x8 sheet was $100 Canadian in northern Manitoba.
Ouch.
Yeah. Man. Do they provide grease with that? I hope it wasn't your money, Rock. yeah, things are, again, unstable is what I call it. And I don't think we're going to see things get very predictable for a while here. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you're working in northern Manitoba. It's worse than Montana, where you got to go 2 hours for a doctor's appointment, which is what I got to do tomorrow. I'll be seeing the neurologist. They did an MRI a month or two ago, and just kind of evaluate my mental condition, how it's deteriorating over time, whether it's normal or something more than normal. We'll see. But it's no fun losing faculties, you know? It's very annoying. Growing old sucks. I forget who it was. One of you folks out there said, I want to make a t-shirt that says, get old or die, you know? I do too, Unhinged. Yeah. Not bad, Chris. Not bad. But that's not an integer number. You know? I have an integer number. So I don't know. Grammatically, I'm not sure how that works out. Chris says, am I half nuts?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So anyhow, yeah, I think building materials are dropping rapidly as demand drops rapidly. For a while there, with the prices high, production just ramped up. People were trying to make it as fast as they could, and then, things. Jim says, recently to build that cabin, it took 3 lumber yards and countless calls to locate normal materials. Thank God I wasn't building an apartment complex. Yeah, in a case like that, you'd been ordering in semi-loads from out of state, probably, Jim. I have no clue. How does that ceiling look? Eva wants to see that. Oh.
I want to see it ceiling.
Yep. But anyhow, so I say that's my thought. And I'm just glad I'm not in Europe right now. My goodness, they're going to have a fun winter. And be interesting to see what happens there. Wouldn't it be nice if you could trust the press to tell the truth? Or at least a reasonable approximation of it. Jim says the roof looks awesome. 3 exclamation points.
I want to see it.
Eva wants to see it. I'm sure you will sometime, little one. Oh.
If the road is bare, we can see it tomorrow.
Yeah, if we take off early. Yeah, but on the way back, it would already be dark because the appointment's at 4. But weather going to be okay tomorrow, Jim? Because we're going to be headed out to Missoula. We could head out early, throw in a couple hours extra travel time to visit you guys. How does that sound? Well, there is an artificial fuel scarcity in places, I think. But a 25-day supply, it's the lowest that's been on record for a while. But the question is, what's dangerously low?
according to the truckers, it is low, but it's not the diesel itself. It's the stuff they make diesel out of. They can apparently make diesel out of other stuff, but different refineries don't have the ability to do it.
It's kind of a blending issue, huh?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Jim says weather should be good. Come on by.
What's the road condition?
I'm sure it's fine. It hasn't rained in days. Oh, it's not like we're driving a Kia either.
Well, we'd have to do the rooms real early.
That's true.
Well, we probably can't do it tomorrow, but maybe we could go out there like Wednesday or something.
I don't know. It's going to be rainy Wednesday.
I really want to see that roof, though.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how things work out tomorrow. May not be able to. Shit, we can always bring it. I presume, is it illuminated in there? Because we can come by on the way back, but we'd be, probably about 6 o'clock by the time we showed up, 6 to 7. Yeah, Jim says the roads are dry. Pretty sure I could find it in the dark. Gates open, right? Oh. First cattle card past the pond. Hang a right at the first right. Oh. Let's see. Yeah, Lauren's pretty multi-talented. Of course, there's a lot of multi-talented people up here. I like it. Yeah, good luck on that one, Lars. Then I got to get him on the front there. It's an old 76. Not that easy. Little one, you're going to have to come over here and take over for a little bit. Oh.
Oh, are you having an issue?
Yes, I'm having an issue. Oh. Oh.
Okay.
This is only 8:16.
Go ahead and pester me.
I can't solve all your problems. Lars, you couldn't even list all my problems.
Go on.
Say nothing is solving.
Trust me, he has issues. Okay. Anyway, we are planning to. We have a turkey thawing out in the poor man's ice box, and we're planning to cook up a really big turkey and do some canning this week to go with my cranberry sauce.
Make sure there's still ice in there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's still ice in there.
Want to check? That's a big turkey.
Well, even if there isn't ice in there, it'll be dang cold, and that turkey will take 3 days to thaw out. It's a dang big turkey. Yeah, time changes next Sunday at 2 a.m. So next Sunday at 2 a.m, everybody needs to fall back. And yeah, it's been really weird. Blindsight. We're in that weird time of the year when it's like, on one hand, it feels like it should be so early, but on the other hand, it feels like it's way late. It's very bizarre. It's a bizarre period of time. And personally, it's getting close. Another month and a half will be at the shortest day of the year. And then it's just all uphill from there. Thank goodness. Haven't seen any earthquake. Haven't seen much of any notice of any earthquakes around here. Haven't felt any earthquakes around here. There have been a few apparently, but nothing that was high enough for us to detect. Nothing that actually felt. I'm sure that there are tremors quite frequently, but I don't watch the maps for them. It's not one of those things that particularly worries me. There are other things going on. Um, Argonaut, I think that would depend on how you define a desert. A good portion of our Great Plains would, in fact, meet the definition of desert by definition, meaning they get less than, I think it's less than 12 inches or 14 inches of rain a year, something like that.
I think we get 5 to 6 here.
We get like 5 to 6 inches of rain a year here. So it depends on your definition of desert. We don't have desert like Arizona desert. There are some cactus here, but they're prickly pear and they're really, really small, polite, inoffensive cactus, and they're usually pretty far apart. Okay. So we're not overwhelmed in the cactus department. Most of our range here is native grasses and sagebrush.
Yeah, there's still ice in the bottom of it. So
Yeah. I mean, technically, as Miner Jim says, Argonaut, yeah, Helena is technically in a desert. You wouldn't know it, judging from all the green stuff we have around, but yeah, we get less than 6 inches of rain a year, so we're a desert. Personally, I like our desert better than Arizona deserts, but everything about Arizona sucks rocks.
I don't know.
It's a known fact.
Carrie Lake seems to be reasonable, at least.
Oh man, she funny.
Yep.
She very funny. I like her.
The steppe could be. Yeah. That might be an accurate description. Oh. I don't miss Arizona. I got plenty of interesting things here. Eva is very happy never to see Arizona again. Oh. Oh. Yeah. I tend to pretty much adapt to wherever I go. So not a huge problem. I must admit I don't miss the heat. You know, that summer heat. I mean, even here it was like 90 degrees. It's like, oh man, that's hot. You know. Yeah, Rock. You're absolutely right about in the desert you can see the bedrock generally. Yeah, it's funny. When we were up on top of that mountain the other day staking that claim, I mean, even this much soil just covers up everything. You can't really see what's there. Yeah, we'll probably be up on top of that hill next season for, I don't know, at least one good long trip, probably a couple of them. But we got, well, total of around 80 acres to go over with a fine-toothed comb. That's going to take a little while. We're not like Rock that can just scuttle everywhere. We kind of take our time. I was quite surprised how steep it was on that one corner, too, that claim that we staked. It's like, damn. I like desert scenery, too. Eva does not.
I like desert scenery as long as I'm viewing it in a photo or from a car window as I'm driving away. Or it's not in Arizona. I like all non-Arizona deserts.
That Panamint Valley was pretty.
Oh, Panamint Valley is gorgeous.
That was amazing. If you're ever in the neighborhood of, well, Bishop, California, Death Valley, California, Trona, in that area there, there's a place called the Panamint, Panamint Valley. Yeah, near Lone Pine. Yep. That is really breathtakingly desert. I mean, it's quite, I mean, it's like a 2,000 foot drop from the ridge down into the valley. And it was quite striking. It really was. I mean, I've been in desert my whole life, basically. And it's like, yeah, that's some desert. Someone else, Jeff. Yeah. And say, so we'll be up there checking things out. And there's a number of mines in the area, and there's some workings on his land. He already had a couple claims there. We were adding on, and so we're going to be doing a detailed look, see what we can find. Probably whip out those dowsing rods too. That'd be a good time. But we shall see what we shall see. But that looks like a really, really fun place to be at. Although it is a little bit hard to breathe because it's at 7,000 feet. Rockwoodger says, I watched the sun come up over the Sahara, the Gobi, the Atacama, and the Colorado-Utah line in the southwest. It's been stunning every time. Of those locations, which ones do you think were the most striking in general, Rock? Because you have a tremendous amount of experience in different places. By the way, I was corresponding, I don't know, a year and a half ago with a guy who was connected to a mining situation in Guinea. It was what do you call it? A concession, basically. Okay. Rock says the Colorado, Naturita River Canyon. After that, the Atacama. Naturita River Canyon. But anyhow, this guy that I've never met, Naturita, Naturita, Colorado. Naturita River Canyon. Yeah, it's pretty. Let's see. There's a good one. Yeah, that's some pretty stuff there. Seen a lot of similar things. Best views I ever saw was from Marble View, Mogollon Rim, north of the Grand Canyon there, just a little bit out on the edge of the Kaibab Plateau. That was pretty awesome. You could see for 70 miles. It was awesome. But anyhow, so I say my friend, my associate, I don't know, acquaintance, I guess, internet acquaintance, was connected to a mine in Guinea. And everyone forgets, just before this whole Ukraine thing kicked off, Guinea had a coup. And so I just sent him an email asking, did you get out okay? And he said, yep, he's okay, but the situation there is really messed up. Yep. And so unfortunately, his project is at a standstill there. I presume he's doing something else. But anyhow, yeah, Marble View, Kaibab Plateau, north of the Grand Canyon. Just me and an ex-girlfriend, and a view that went on forever. We just parked the car, and that was it. It was the end of a little Forest Service road. Just parked the car. A little ring of rocks was there from somebody else camping, and literally just 70 miles that way. There's the San Francisco peaks that way, and there's New Mexico there. There's Utah that way, and down there is the start of the Grand Canyon. It was pretty cool. I'll take Eva there sometime if we get a chance. Oh no, it's in Arizona. I don't know. She might not go for that. It's close to Utah though. She might allow it. We'll see. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Oh, highly recommend it. Although they've changed the roads a little bit now, so I'm not sure how easy it is to get to at the moment, because you got to go kind of around a bit. But yeah, they were in good shape. They were Forest Service logging roads, but who knows? Environmentalists may have blocked them all off now, so that when there's a fire, the fire trucks can't get through. That's the way they love to do these things. Oh, anyhow, wow. Two-fisted drinker. It's just, I have a history. She has a history. That would be the ex-girlfriend that I believe took a shot at me. So there's not exactly like she's worried about anything there. But I like it up here. Scenery's great. People are really nice. People in general are pretty nice. Take care, Blindsight. Oh, does anyone have any mining questions or subjects or anything like that? Oh, dearie. Shortly after. Where do I go to look for gold? Where it's been found in the past, Rock. In your case, you go to look for gold where somebody pays you to go look for gold. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to be underground again this year, Harry. To get the ore out of the ground, I have to have somebody on the bottom to offload the high line. We might go up there if we have plenty more. We could set up the head frame, and because I can do that myself if needed. And I've got a bunch of pack rat bin to clear out, and we get that done. But yeah, it's with Eva, bunged up, that makes things a lot of difficult. But it's at the end of the season. I say that the mill's going to be shutting down this week. This is the last week of milling operations. It's got to be winterized, which means that it's not a whole lot of purpose to doing much mining after this, although we can stockpile for the spring. I don't know. Do I have a favorite recipe? I'm kind of assuming that road that we went up there, Um, has seasonal limitations on it. Did you see any seasonal limitation signs on that road, little one? I don't recall seeing any.
I don't recall seeing any either.
Okay, it's definitely going to be a while for the snow melts. That's at 7,000 feet. What do you think, Jim? 7,000 feet? Late May at the earliest? It's my guess. It is not going to melt too fast. You're a, what, about 6,000 maybe? A little less? I guess McDonald Pass is what, 6,500? So I would guess you're at about 6,000 where you're at. I don't know. I've been told that where we were at a couple weeks ago, it'll have 7 feet of snow this winter. To Montana B, I doubt it'll get 2 feet of snow at the worst part of the winter. Do I have a favorite recirculating water filter design? I usually like to use settling and a flocculant if needed to help it settle rather than an actual filter. Filtration is a lot more complicated than settling when you can do it. Yeah, I did notice on the road going up there when we first got off the pavement, that was a county dirt road. Miner says he's they're at 7,000 feet. Wow. Tire chains and sheer determination changing. I don't think we're going to be in that serious motivation to get back there, Jim. I think we'll be able to wait a bit, but I'm guessing for the snow to melt up there, I mean, the roads are basically clear and stuff. So probably what, late May? And yeah, but as I was saying to Rock, on the county road there, it said, snowmobiles not allowed on maintained roads. So clearly they don't want you to drive snowmobiles on that road, So I'm not exactly sure why. Yeah, chains provide a lot of traction almost any environment, even sand. Yeah, Jim says May is a good bet. That's my thought. It's probably going to be late May before we can get there. We probably get to Montana B a month earlier than that. And hopefully we'll get several more tons of dump material screened and hauled this fall. That'd be nice. Then we can have a stockpile in the spring. Got a lot of experiments to do this winter. Really going to work hard on that resin and see what we can do to get it out, get the gold out of it efficiently. We don't really care if we destroy the resin, just as long as we can get the gold efficiently. That's the key.
Yeah.
So.
Which is why I'll be working on ashing.
Yeah. So, you mind if I watch your ash? The look she gave me.
Bad, 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 bad bear. You are terrible.
Jim says we can get as much as 12 feet of snow up here some winters. Well, we'll just have to see what happens. It's pretty unpredictable.
I'll consult the Farmer's Almanac. It knows shit.
Does it have it for by the county? I've actually put chains on when I was in the mud down by the river in Yuma. You know, D7. Yeah, if you're going through it, if not, the snowmobile just go over top of it. How much avalanche issues? I didn't see any signs of avalanches around there, Jim. So I presume the trees hold on to it pretty well. I've seen what avalanche paths look like, and I haven't seen any up here in Montana. Up in Glacier there was some, but yeah, Rogers Pass, British Columbia, it got a lot of avalanche paths. Of course, they've got their own artillery unit there in the wintertime. No joke. I mean, the military stations a small artillery unit with like a 105 or something like that, and they just knock down the avalanche. When after the storm, they go out there. I think they may use a helicopter and drop charges now. This was around 1970, but they may just drop charges from helicopters now. But yeah, after the storm, they'd knock down the avalanches and then run the big snow blowers through there to open it up again. But yeah, I haven't seen anything like that except in Glacier. I would think the howitzer would be the cheapest way. You know, a single shell can't be terribly expensive. And, you know, helos, they can't be stationed there. They have to be at a lower elevation. So you're looking at, all the prep and maintenance, and then an hour up there, do their thing and drop charges and stuff, at least half a day, gosh, with a helicopter, that's going to be, I don't know, depending on, if it's like a Black Hawk, you're probably talking $20,000. Yeah, if you got, one of the smaller ones, which is all you'd need. Yeah, helos are pretty handy tools, but they ain't cheap. Which is why even I have Life Flight. See? If I ever get screwed up out there, we don't have to worry about the bills at least. They missed the mountain but got a shed in Provo. Oopsie. Hate it when that happens. That's why Chris was saying you need to have somebody else check your math. Wow, you think you'd fire a ranging shot on that? Well, I got in trouble one time, a long time ago, on the internet when it was news groups, just all text and stuff. And you used to be able to, click on taglines. Something I saw one I liked, and I just put it on my automatic rotation and stuff. And somebody got really offended. It says, "A man is only as old as the woman he feels." That guy. Somebody took offense at that. Well, I'm 10 years younger than I am that way. But I have to be very careful not to hurt her now. Yeah. How old's your youngest, Brock? I bet you would, Lars, but you're going to need some pretty good cold weather gear for that job. The wee lad is 12. Okay. That's not too bad then. About the time you're ready to retire, he should be on his own. I have to admit, I do like being kind of footloose and fancy free. That is kind of cool. Your eldest is 15 and you got 3? Holy crap, dude. You know what causes that, right?
Storks.
Oh. Let's see. I think the spread on mine was I don't know, about 8 years for 3.
My 2 were 14 months.
Yeah. Oh. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'll be getting a little fidgety come wintertime. Luckily, I have things to do with Lauren there, I think. And I say both at the lab, and I think he's got some projects lined up that might keep me busy if I don't have other stuff. And you get that minor bago, got a number of things. We did the front spring bushings last week, and under some conditions the vibration is less, and under some it's more. We didn't have time to do all the spring bushings though, so I'll have to see what his schedule is. If he's got a full day, we can try and do all the other spring bushings. The shackles have the bushings already installed, the new shackles. So to put just the shackles in, that would only take a short period of time because you got to take out 2 bolts, pull the shackle, put it in place, put 2 bolts in there. It's just a matter of jacking it and getting it kind of lined up. The right spring didn't want to line up too well the last time, so that was a bit of an issue. Then we found out if you put a thread chaser on it first and then grind the tip to kind of a truncated conical point, it makes it a lot easier to get in. You had quadruplets, Jim? Oh, that must have been fun. Holy crap. That's a lot of work.
Quadruplets?
That's what he says.
Holy shit. Your poor wife.
He says quadruplets and an 18-month-old son, 5 and 2 years.
Your poor wife.
Yeah, you may feel his pain, Rock, but Eva feels her pain.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's up to Jim there. They're in a nice, safe place, Chris. So I'm pretty sure we'll have plenty to do this winter to keep me from going too bonkers. I'm not good at sitting around. I get fidgety. Go out and do some ice fishing or something. That water below the Hauser Dam, it's always open water there, but the banks are ice. I like the far bank, but that's a fairly steep climb down to the water. So I'd have to put those little tire chains on my feet. I got them,
Type thingies.
Little mini ones. Yeah, that'd be a good time to test those out. Take a hiking stick while I'm at it. I've never, haven't done much fishing in the cold like that. We did some that first year we came up here.
You gotta find somebody who goes ice fishing.
Lauren knows how to go ice fishing. He's got the stuff too.
Good. So you
So
can go ice fishing and get me fish.
probably we need to try and get some of those burbot.
Yeah.
Haven't tasted those.
I also want some brown trout from someplace we can keep them from.
She wants brown trout, but most places you can't keep them. We'll have to go visit Jimmy. Well, we got that guy with the mine down there. We got Dave. He's got a mine in that area. That's that river there we can keep browns out of. So we shall see. That's another thing. We got a possible project down there. So not too worried about being bored. And of course, that just assumes that there's not a civil war or nuclear war, World War III or something like that going on, just to really make things interesting. So we shall see what we shall see. Yeah, Jim, you're going to have to make sure you get out of there before you get snowed in. Rock Butcher says, did you say brown trout? I buy my brown trout in boxes of 24.
That works for me.
Yes, I don't know. We shall see what we shall see. It's should be enough to keep us busy. I'm not terribly worried, but I am worried about the overall situation. I say we may be more struggling to survive than anything else. I say depending upon what happens, it may be like, okay, we got to try and build a greenhouse real quick, something like that. I'll be willing to bet you that if you were to use, let's see, could you use a cast iron stove to heat a greenhouse safely, or are you looking at carbon monoxide issues? I mean, if you were to actually put the smoke in there for the carbon dioxide. Yeah, I'm thinking you're probably right, Jim. Let's see what the yeah, because I'm thinking carbon dioxide is good for things. Let's see weather. Yeah, Elliston. Okay, according to this, Jim, in Elliston, tomorrow's a low 31, then 19, then 20, then 38, then 20, then 14, then 7, then 13, then 22. If that helps you out any. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Rock. If you could obviously heat it as you would normally would with a wood stove, but if you were to route some of the carbon dioxide into the greenhouse, I wonder if that would like it. Jim said they used to vent oil stoves directly into the greenhouse. Oh, there's enough CO2 in the atmosphere, but that doesn't mean they don't do better with more. I think you probably have to have a pretty good monitoring system and stuff there. I don't know. I know you could just heat it, in a conventional manner. I would imagine Now let's see, if you double glazed the south facing wall, so to speak, and then you had insulated other walls, still bet you it would take a lot of wood to keep it at a nice temperature. Although we do get a lot of sun in the wintertime here. Well, I said they make monitors and stuff. You'd have to make sure your combustion was clean. I mean, like our little buddy heater is that catalytic propane thing. It's fine. It makes almost no carbon monoxide at all. But yeah, I don't know. I would think to keep what do you think the temperature you'd need in a greenhouse to keep the plants going good? About 70 degrees? Be my guess. 70 in the day, 50 at night. Well, that makes sense. You'd have to have a blower to do that, Chris, but yeah, it doesn't seem like a problem. $16.45 would probably do it. Definitely need double glazing. Don't know if you could do it effectively with plastic, sheet plastic. I'm sure you could do it, well, like with, plexiglass. If you're going to do a dug-in greenhouse somewhere, I would think what you'd want would be to put like a retaining wall or something with foam on the outside, and then your greenhouse, same thing with foundation with foam underneath it. That way you got all that thermal mass. Jim says 2 levels of poly, barrels of water for mass, and then artificial heating is doable most of the year here. Yeah, it's, anything is dangerous if you don't do it right, Rock. And like if you use like a propane stove, it's going to be a lot different than, say, like a little buddy catalytic heater. Chris says glass or polycarbonate will keep in the IR. I'm thinking the polycarbonate probably has better insulation than glass does. I would think PVC film would get pretty cold. Yeah, you'd have to double glaze it for sure. I don't know. I know some people have them up. They've done it up here, so. That's probably, you can actually die from lack of oxygen too, Rock. Supposedly the new ones have both a CO and a low oxygen shutoff. I don't know. Yeah, you definitely want to have secondary backups, because I could see, in an ice fishing hut, if you're running a heater like that, it's going to burn up the oxygen if nothing else. And once you start getting in low oxygen content, then it's going to tend to start making more carbon monoxide too. So yeah, you need some kind of safety systems. Jim says you inflate the poly between the layers with a blower motor. Works really well, huh? Is that how the Mennonites do it? Did they have greenhouses, Jim? I know somebody's got to have greenhouses around here. I say maybe building a greenhouse before the winter's over, depending upon how things going. Say, I'm making no long-term plans at all. So, say I really don't know. As long as it's honest work and reasonably interesting, I'll be happy with that. I don't know if we showed you this. This was rock we got on that trip with Dave Van. That's all. It doesn't show too well. That's all pyrite there on that surface. Is that down there Broadwater? Yeah, that would be nice. Then if you're lucky, the water's perfectly good for trout too, so you can have a pond outside with fish. Oh. Yeah, I mean that may be a priority before winter's over. Don't know. Really have no clue. We'll find out in a little bit more in a week how wacko things are going to get or not. Yeah, I understand exactly, Chris. Yeah. That would work. Yeah. That would be pretty good. Do aquaponics and the trout underneath your veggies, little one. That would be cool, huh?
Yeah, if we can get some good trout.
Yeah. Now the question is, if you got reasonably warm water, which is what you'd want in the greenhouse, I wonder what would be ideal for the trout for flavor and stuff like that. You wouldn't want it too warm. Yeah, you might just move the fish outside too. Yeah, I know they need cold oxygenated water. I'm just wondering what cold means. You know, and for flavor too. I'm guessing 45 degrees would be cool enough for trout. Anyone know? 40 to 55. Okay, yeah. See, 55, if you had your water at 45, 55 degrees, that'll keep your veggies in a decent situation. That's warm enough for them. And you could use some heat exchangers and stuff to keep the fish water at a particular temperature. And you could even have different kinds of fish. You could have some warmer water fish and then colder water fish in different areas of your greenhouse if it was heated by geothermal water. Rock says at the 92 Prospectors and Developers Conference in Toronto, my boss ordered 4 live trout from the restaurant downstairs, plus 4 bags of ice, and we put them in the bathtub of her hospitality suite.
That's very hospitable.
Is this a joke for the maid in the morning? Or were you guys going to eat them? Take them home? As a prank, it sounds reasonably good. You know, ate them for breakfast. Okay. Whatever works. Fish for breakfast? Not my thing.
Absolutely fish for breakfast.
But yeah, if you had,
It's not our fault you're weird.
if you had a geothermal aquifer, that might be a good thing with the aquaponics. I don't know how much water it would take. You'd have to have a good heat exchanger, good efficient method of heating the air. Of course, if you ran it into the vegetable trays, basically the growing trays, and they're fairly thin, they're going to heat the air. That heat's going to tend to go up some, and then as that heat dissipates, then you can run it into the fish. It was a sales pitch, huh? Well, you get sometimes just being noticed is really important. Just doing something different. Yeah, I'm not sure, Chris. I'll say I've never done that before. Don't know the engineering behind it. I like the idea of having it earth bermed on the cold side with insulation, and then like a retaining wall, and that would give you, massive thermal mass. Especially with like one of those retaining walls like Lauren built for that guy. My goodness, 80-pound blocks. We got pretty low sun in the wintertime here, Chris. So you're going to have to like slant the glass part like that. Otherwise you're not, that's going to have to be really big. Plus you're going to need to get the snow off it. So it's going to have to be fairly steep, Interesting. Yeah, when I got out to the ranch today, there was 2 deer sitting there in the front yard. A doe and a fawn. You know where the power stroke is, little one?
Oh, really?
Yeah, right next to that.
Dinner?
Not authorized. You take care, Rock. You betcha, Rock. Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I say it wouldn't surprise me at all if we were doing something like that. Season opens here on the 6th. Yeah. I think it opened here last week. We saw a lot of people out there. We saw 2 vehicles in one day. Traffic jam. You notice that one vehicle didn't come back?
Yeah.
Nothing went all the way through what we were thinking of. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Miner Jim. I don't know. Have you seen that project that Lauren was working on over by his house? Yeah, that those kind of retaining walls have a lot of thermal mass, but they're also kind of open work to a little extent, which allows the airflow around it. So I think that would work pretty interestingly for that situation. You know? I don't know. Have to see. We could have Lars come up with some high voltage something or other for it. Jacob's ladder. I wonder how well that heats. I wonder how much ozone does for plants. Probably not a good thing, too much ozone. Yeah, I was thinking earth bermed on the north side, maybe east and west. Yeah, Jeff, but if you have sloped glass, then you don't have a separate roof structure that you have to do too. I don't know. It wouldn't be mine anyhow. I'm not going to be approving it. Yeah, it's not for me. So I don't know. I know we also have to rearrange. The plan is to rearrange that room a bit where the lab is and get it kind of, what do you call it? In better condition for next spring. You know, may take a trip, several stops, and everywhere from Chris all the way up to Anacortes, Washington, to pick up a muffle furnace. We'll just have to see. I'm kind of concerned about the Minor Bago, but if my son-in-law shows up with son-in-law shows up with an engine that we can put in there, and we get a few other things fixed, that might change things a lot. We have been sitting in one place for a long time, haven't we, little one? Yeah. Haven't gone on a long trip in a while. Oh well, we shall see. Let me see if there's anything on the Outlook. Okay, close this. Close that. Inbox. Nobody has asked for a chart yet. So again, anyone who wants a chart, just email me. I'll send it out. Oh. Well, I think I better call it a night here fairly soon, because I've been a little peakedy this morning. My diverticulitis was acting up a bit, and I got a big trip tomorrow. I got to get up at 8 a.m, swap vehicles, and get a few things done here. Go from there. 22-inch wide bales of straw around R40. Don't know how well that would work against Earth. But yeah. Pros and cons when comparing hammers to change on impact and flail mills. Okay, Argonaut, my opinion. Okay. The big advantage to hammers or rigid impactors is you can hard face them. Okay. Chains would be very, very hard to hard face, very difficult to really do a good job. They're easy to change out, but then so are hammers. So are, if it's properly designed, rigid impactors, 2 bolts, boom, new impactor in place. Hard facing lasts a lot longer than steel, even good hard steel. So that's the big advantage as far as I see. So that's how I would look at it, Argonaut. If you're looking for something that is just intermittent a little bit, chain flail should be fine. But if you're doing something where you're going to be putting a lot through there, yeah, I'd go with the rigid hammers or rigid, or either hammers or rigid impactors. Yeah, I've heard of straw bale buildings. I kind of get nervous when they have forest fires. So I'd kind of like let's say if you had earth berm and then straw bales and then like a retaining wall or a thermal mass wall, that might work out okay, I would think. But you probably have to put a little something between the hay and the ground to keep it from getting damp. And let's see, where would your moisture barrier have to be? The hot side. I'd have to see where the heat and the condensation was going to be doing its thing, because you're going to have a lot of moisture in a greenhouse. Huh. Tricky's late because their fiber optics got damaged due to a truck hitting the pole. Wow. Yeah, I agree, Harry. Yeah, you'd have to have some kind of waterproofing. That's my concern. When you got a waterproof barrier, disparate temperatures and moisture, thing does weird. So I'd have to research that one carefully. You can use rammed earth too. Nothing wrong with rammed earth. Hey, Tricky, the gold in solution on that first thing was 64 parts per million. We're going to be due. We just did that first elution with stage 3 only. Haven't got to the other stuff. Eva's got a compression fracture in one of her vertebrae, so she's on light duty right now. Left her home while I went to get some stuff there, and the lab is going to have to be shut down for the winter out there. We'll have to move some or all of it to Lawrence for the winter, because it's going to be getting below freezing 24/7 next week for several days. So that's going to be a problem. So I don't know when we're going to get to it. It probably going to have to wait till we've made the move. Yeah, she's not in too much discomfort, and there's no real danger to the spinal cord, so we're told. Hey, Mr. Virtue. And she's over here. She gave her report tonight and everything. You can go back and look at it and see how she is. She seems to be okay in terms of normal activities and things like that. Every once in a while, she'll move in a particular way and get a pinched nerve jolt sort of thing. But probably from osteoporosis. Apparently when she was asleep. And no, it's not my fault. Say it just getting old sucks. At least you didn't get electrocuted and fall off a telephone pole. Oh my goodness. So anyhow, that's where we're at. Mr. Virtue, since you're new, Chris worked out a table so that if you're doing your own fire assaying, use a little microscope like this to measure the diameter of the gold bead. Use the fancy little table he's come up with, and you can tell the grade of the ore, or the grade of the sample rather, even to very low concentrations. The problem is with a standard assay ton, which is just shy of 30 grams, your final gold bead's going to be at 1 ounce per ton ore grade, which is pretty decent. It's only 1 milligram. So it makes it kind of hard. But with optical measurement, it's a lot easy. Hey, Ricky, how's it going? Well, a lot of I know what it is. It's the Halloween. Everyone's been to parties and stuff. Yep. So anyhow, that's kind of the thing. Now, if you want one of those charts, email me and I'll send you the PDF, and you can print it out yourself. Stuccoed bale benches around the fire pit. Could be. You know, I'm doing okay. Eva's got a stress fracture in one of her vertebrae that's not terribly serious. It's not terribly uncomfortable, but she's light duty now for the foreseeable future till that gets fixed. And so it's going to get cold next week. So we got to winterize the mill and the lab. So that's basically our project right now, is switch over from liquid water operations to solid water operations. Oh, so yeah. And we're not going to get a whole lot done until next week. We do got to get that other resin loaded this week, though. We're not going to have any chances. Probably going to have to, oh dear. Let's see. I don't know. We could take the number 1 cartridge and put fresh 5011 resin in it. Move the other 2 cartridges back. Yep.
You'll figure it out.
Well, the problem is, Chris, it's not going to be liquid very long. That's the problem. Yeah, we can kind of recirculate, but it's not going to it's not going to have much in the way of concentration for very long at all. When it goes through the resin cartridge, the time it comes out, it's 1 part per million. Yeah, we'll scavenge what we can. So the thing is, we want to load some of that Purolite Puragold 5011, just so we have some other loaded resin, so we can see, maybe our problem is if we I have no idea, Tricky. I certainly can't get it in a short time. We have less than a week. But We should have some of that Purolite 5011. The guy sent me a thing like that. And we just want to get it loaded. So just in case, our biggest problem is the reason we can't get it out of the resin, because the resin won't let go of it under any circumstances. We may just have to go to a different resin and bigger cartridges because less efficient. Do you haul Preg solution to Lawrence? Nope. I say once the pad freezes up, the pad freezes up. We could theoretically bucket some up like we did last year, but we don't really have that much in the way of tests, and we can probably make some if we needed to. Does freezing hurt Eco Gold X? Not sure, not to my knowledge. The dry, it shouldn't bother it. The resin, yeah, we'd have to move the resin out. Yeah, that would be interesting, Chris. I agree. When you batten down the hatches, yep. This is it. Next week, there's going to be like 3 days where it never gets above freezing, and the minimum temperatures are teens to single digits. So yeah, we got to get things winterized by Sunday. Not a huge technical challenge. It's not like we're panic stricken or anything. And so it's just we got to do it. We have to get some totes and this and that and the other. So yeah, it will. It's going to get cold here pretty quick, and that'll be it. No more milling until spring, and when everything melts. We might go to the mine and get ore and just stockpile it for spring, so that when it's while we're waiting for the snow to melt on the hills, it always melts down here and everything's functional before we can get back up on the hill. So it's handy to have some tons of stuff down here if we can get it. So we'll see what we can do. With Eva being out of commission, it's going to be screening dumps, but that's easy stuff to do. So should be able to get 1 or maybe 2 trips of screening dumps and go from there. Just see what happens. But yeah, that's just the way it is. You do what you got to do. Okay. Little one, can you take over for a minute, please? Again. Yes. Old Man Bladder.
Yeah.
Mr. Virtue and Tricky Dicky just got here.
Hi, everybody.
Some of them are worried about you. Haven't seen you.
Hi. Yeah, he done broke my back.
No, I didn't.
Actually, I have no idea how it happened. A little over a week ago, I woke up in the morning with this funny pain right between my shoulder blades. I'm like, must have slept wrong. The next day, the funny pain was worse. And the day after that, the funny pain was worse. And I notified him. And, well, it turned out, Okay, Unhinged. You take care, too. Vancouver Island. Cool, Rainy Girl. Haven't been up to Vancouver Island. Wanted to one of these days. He has.
Bouchard Gardens are beautiful.
But anyway, that's what's going on with my back. My only restriction is if it hurts, don't do it. So I'm thinking of claiming that doing the dishes hurts.
Ooh.
It's excruciating. It might work.
Hello, Rainy Girl. I've been to Vancouver Island. If you're not fairly mature, then probably before you were born. back around 1970, roughly. And saw Bouchard Gardens. Then we took the Queen of Prince Rupert up to Prince Rupert just as a trip. I was about 15 at the time. So anyhow, yeah, it's very pretty up there. Little damp, but not horribly cold. It's much colder here in the wintertime. But yeah, very, very pretty up there, in my opinion. I got to get Eva to the Olympic Peninsula sometime too, so she can see what that looks like.
The world's largest temperate rainforest?
Zebios? Where's that at? Is that in Vancouver? Zebios, British Columbia. Located on the northwest coast of Vancouver. Okay. It's now known for ecotourism and sport fishing. Okay. Was known for
tourism and sport fishing.
It used to be mining too. Yeah, that would be Bigfoot country, I would think, Bob. Yeah, it would be nice if Eva and I could do some more traveling. Got to get the truck running a little more reliably, and then we could spend winters traveling a bit, because there's limited amount that you can do in Montana in the middle of winter. Ooh, gold pan right in a river full of steelhead. I'm afraid I might have to worry more about the steelhead.
Ooh.
You know what a steelhead is, little one?
Steelhead trout?
Yeah. Do you know what they are?
Haven't seen them. They're predatory, aren't they?
They're an ocean-going rainbow trout. They go out to the ocean like salmon, come back to spawn, and then go back out. She wants one.
I like ocean fish.
Yeah.
I prefer saltwater fish to freshwater fish, in fact.
All righty, Tricky. You take care. Yeah, I tend to be more the fisherman. She's more the fisher eater. Although it's funny, when we lived in Birch Bay, just down there, just south of the border there, we used to go out on the Puget Sound and go fishing in a kayak. And she used to like that. What should you like more, the fishing or the kayaking?
Both.
Both? Yep. We had some interesting adventures out there.
California dad and 22-year-old daughter stabbed to death by a homeless man.
And where?
California.
Oh, Rainy Girl says we'll cook you up something to remember.
Ooh.
Well,
I love fishing.
That's
real food.
That's quite an offer there. So who knows? We love to travel. Say it shouldn't be too bad in the wintertime there. It's going to be drippy, but it's always drippy there, except maybe in August. What is it? Second half of July, August, and maybe a little bit into September. Then, I don't mind panning gold, although I'd rather sluice for it. I like tonnage. I like to move some material. But yeah, I say we used to live pretty close to there, and it's usually not that cold, but it is drippy all winter long. There you go. That's the way. Hi, Banker. I like shoveling. Trust me, I can move some dirt. At least for now. I'm getting kind of old. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm 66. So I've got, well, let's see, got an artificial aorta and a few other little non OEM parts in me. Still going pretty good. Oh, yeah, that would be good. Say, yeah, I'm slowing you down. Yeah, well, I say I can move some dirt. I know how to move some dirt and rock. So, yeah, that would be fun. We shall have to see what we shall see. Generally, I'm going to be busy up here during the summers. Between May and November, we're going to be probably pretty much sticking to Montana. On the other hand, during the winters, we'll be a little more free, and that would be cool. Oh, really? How's he doing, Rainy Girl? My blood vessels were in pretty good shape, except the aorta, which was ready to burst. So I've got a Dacron one, I guess. And I don't know how they do it, but they kind of carve a new heart valve out of like pig cartilage or something. So I've got a new heart valve too. And the advantage to that over a mechanical valve is that you don't need to take blood thinners, which with me would be kind of tough because, I'm always perforating myself. Yep. The thing is, too, I think they said that they can actually replace that valve without opening my chest again. They can thread it through a vein. So it's like, it's got a lifetime of 20 years, theoretically. It's like, well, that good chance of beating me. If not, they can change it without more heart surgery. What the heck? I'll go for it. I do some weird stuff nowadays. But whatever. Apparently her husband also has a pig valve.
Huh.
He had 2 valve surgeries. Yeah. Yeah, that was it was very stressful on Eva because this was during the first COVID and she wasn't allowed even to my surgeon appointments. She couldn't even go there. She couldn't.
And get this.
So I asked them after they banned me from surgery appointments, they banned me from the hospital, they banned me from everything. So I asked him, if the dude happens to croak on the table, what about his body? They said to me, they didn't know when they'd be able to get his body to me because
COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
I'm a little pissed.
Yeah. No, first thing she found out I was even going to have surgery. I had kidney cancer, I don't know, over a decade ago, little thing. And so I go in every year to get checked out for that. And so I was, at the general practitioner getting the referral for the, cardiologist. No, in this case it was for the, kidney kidney doctor, to do the imaging. And so when I was there, she thought she'd heard a heart murmur, so she sends me to a cardiologist. The cardiologist does an echo. They didn't like what they saw there. So they, scheduled a catheterization, which of course she wasn't allowed into the hospital for. So
I had to sit out in the car in freaking 80-degree weather because I wasn't allowed in the waiting room.
Yeah, it was fairly hot outside. And so she's sitting out there, and when they did the catheterization, they they found my aorta was at like 55 millimeters, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Twice its normal size.
Yeah, which is about twice as big as it's supposed to be. Um, and so the doctor called the surgeon, who was a very good surgeon, by the way. He was the head of cardiothoracic surgery at University of Arizona Medical School, you know. But anyhow, so he called the surgeon office and got me in there. Comes to the recovery room, because after catheterization, you got to be there a while in case something, a blood clot starts. So he says, Keith, can you make an appointment with the surgeon 4:00 on Tuesday? And I'm like, sure. And okay, fine. Says, I've already made the appointment for you. So that got my attention. And what I didn't know was the surgeon's office had already called Eva to confirm the surgery. So that doesn't sound good, Ricky. Hope things go well. But so that's how she found out. How long ago? 2 years ago, last spring?
It was during lockdown 1.0.
Yeah.
So it's been a year and a half.
Spring of
It'll be 2
2020,
years in
right?
May.
Yeah.
It'll be 2 years, May 2020.
2 years in May. And so, they did that. Now, I always like to brag about her sons. Okay. She raised a couple of good sons. Her eldest son picked us up at our house at 5:00 in the morning, dropped me at the hospital at 5:30 as per instructions, then took his mom to his house for a Harry Potter marathon to keep her busy until they got a call from the hospital as to what had happened. I thought that was extremely thoughtful of him. And her other son, who was stationed 70 miles away, active duty, and the
Red Cross.
Yeah, they couldn't get their stuff straightened out with the military in time. So he just went AWOL. He just got some days off and drive over and be with my mom. So I say, they show they got their priorities right. Eve and I have been together, how long now?
16 years.
16 years.
Something along
almost
those lines.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've been together 16 years. We're still going strong. And
it feels like an eternity. I can't remember a time when he was not in my life.
Yeah, Chris, I hope they get things figured out. Oh, Eva's quite the girl. She's she's smarter than I am, I'm pretty sure. I asked her one time.
Of course.
I said, just how smart are you? And she goes, 10 IQ points lower than the smartest guy in the room. And I said, how about if there's a real super genius in the room? She goes, 10 IQ points lower than the smartest guy in the room. Oh, so thank you, Randy girl. Yeah, she's a pretty smart girl. Our strengths and weaknesses complement each other pretty well. And our likes are pretty similar. She likes camping and traveling, and I like camping and traveling and things like that. So it works out pretty well. Hey, Mr. Lodak. Yeah, it's about.
Hi, Mr. Lodak.
It can get kind of boring at times, Randy girl. Say she makes my life
thank
interesting.
you. So now you're bored with me.
No, she says if you are the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. I said it can get boring. Yep. Are these Chris, are these surgeries high probability or low probability surgeries? You know? That's the question. When it was stuff like the aorta, it was, you got a 98% chance of success and a 2% chance of dying. If you don't do the surgery, you got a 100% chance of dying. Decision's not hard. But, some surgeries are like they're looking at doing a hiatal hernia surgery on me. And after the hernia surgery that went a little bit awry, I'm not quite as enthusiastic. That's the first time I've actually had a significant complication. Well, it wasn't dangerous.
I want you to get the hiatal done.
Okay. Probably be in January then, during the off season. See, that takes care of a couple weeks right there. Rainy girl, it's a good thing Eva loves me because the maintenance is getting pretty bad on me right now. And if she didn't love me so much, she might be tempted to trade me in on a lower maintenance model. Oh. Yeah, Chris, let us know when you're doing stuff, and I can send out the message, and we can all be praying for you. You notice what happened with Forest Hill. So, oh. Yeah, I imagine. Anyhow, yeah, Rainy Girl, usually we start the live stream at 6:00 on Monday evenings, Montana time. So if you ever have any gold mining questions, I specialize in hard rock gold. There's a guy there you see, Miner Jim. He's actually a professional placer miner, but currently he's up on the mountains there trying to get some construction completed before the snow lands on top of everything. A hiatal hernia is where the esophagus goes through the diaphragm. The diaphragm's kind of opened up a bit, and that allows the stomach contents to come up into the esophagus. You basically get acid reflux and stuff. It's not dangerous, but it's kind of annoying. 75 ounces per ton. I could live with that. What is the mining laws up there, Rainy Girl? I know. I don't think Goldstream's here today. I know that and Rock Butcher left. So those guys have dealt with Canuckistan more than once. Mr. Lodak says his analysis says it might be a little hop on gold to hit 1650 or 1670. Your friend owned the Privateer mine a couple of years ago, huh? So what happened? Is it all played out, or did he die or sell it, or what's the situation, Rainy Girl? He passed? Yeah, a lot of that happens right now because a lot of the people that are actually into mining and not electronics are getting on in years. And so Is that something that was then claimable by somebody else? Um, in the United States, it depends on what type of claim it is. There's something called a patented claim, which is like private property and has a deed and such. And then there's something called an unpatented claim, which is just a temporary mineral rights that you get from the government. You have to maintain it every year. So if you don't do it, it reverts back to the government and can theoretically be reclaimed by somebody else. That's where the steelhead are too. Sounds like heaven to me. Hard rock, gold, and steelhead. Man.
Is there silver?
Is there silver? My wife loves silver, Rainy Girl. By the way, when does the steelhead run? That's in the summer, isn't it? So I'm usually going to be pretty locked down here during the summer with commitments. Going to tend to be late fall to early spring that I'll be able to, go other places. Yeah, I don't know. That's why you got to ask the locals, Chris. Oh. He says it has a winter run. Ooh, there you go. Hey, Rainy Guy, how's it going? I hear you got artificial parts too. I'm doing pretty good. Oh. Yeah, it was pretty fun. When they did the open heart surgery, replaced my aorta, my back was hurting more because I've got an old back injury and I don't like laying on my back. So, yeah, Zabalos, I saw a few pictures of it there. I just looked it up real quick. But yeah, that sounds like something interesting. We might be going to Anacortes, Washington.
There's only one problem, Bear.
What?
Can you get over the border without the jab these days? Remember, we're purebloods.
That's by that time, another 6 months. I have a feeling that'll be changing. Say we've got passports. I don't know if they'd allow the minor Bago up there because it's so old. But that would be cool. I've been to Vancouver Island. It is beautiful. Yeah. Yes, I've been up to the port where they bring in the Queen of Prince Rupert. The Prince Rupert ferry dock there. Nanaimo. I've been from the Vancouver ferry. The Vancouver City ferry to Vancouver Island. From there to Nanaimo, but I don't think we spent hardly any time off of there. Zabalos. Let me just check something here.
Yeah, no firearms and no jab.
Yeah. Let's see. Western coast, British. Okay. Yeah, so you're kind of on the other coast from Nanaimo.
Is there gold in the beaches?
I would imagine there would be some in the beaches, little one.
That would be fun.
Yeah, there's Zabalos Harbor there. See, that's typical British Columbia. The trees right down to the ocean like that. Yeah.
I want to go someplace where there's gold in the beaches, and I want to be able to use the metal detector somewhere. But I want silver.
Come on, could I just see the damn picture? So where's the big, where does it zoom? Visit site, image sizes. Whatever. Yeah, it's a fairly small town, it looks like. Yeah, it's well protected, though, it looks like. That looks nice. It does look beautiful. Mr. Lodak says, gold on the monthly close bearishly engulfed, Bitcoin bullishly engulfed, as he expected. I'm but a messenger.
Yep. Going to get interesting here.
Yeah. It's going to get interesting, Mr. Lodak. Silver and gold ore, little one.
I want silver.
Yeah, she loves
Keep
silver.
that stupid yellow stuff. I want silver.
Okay, Mr. Virtue. You must be in California to have kids banging on your door at this time. Hey, Scotty. You must have been doing the Halloween thing too. Oh. So, two things of news. Chris came up with a chart that if you're doing assaying, you can measure the diameter of the bead and figure out what your ore grade is and such. So you don't need a microgram balance. And Eva's got a minor compression fracture thingy on one of her vertebrae that is not real dangerous and not horribly painful, but she's definitely light duty. Yep. Hey, Lars, how's that RP4 working out? You used it yet? Oh, I believe it, Rainy Girl. Oh, dearie.
Bear getting tired.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get to bed here fairly soon. We gotta go. What was it, 110 miles?
Yeah, something like that.
I think 110 miles to a neurologist tomorrow.
Car from Lauren.
Yeah, I got to go get a car from a friend, and
we got to do our rooms. And
Yep. So, got samples to the lab, and I got to get these charts laminated and punched. Mm-hmm. You bet, Rainy Girl. You take care. And we'd like to come up there sometime. That sounds cool. It really Absolutely. Does. We love travel.
Fishing, silver.
Notice.
Are there any seashells up there? I like seashells too.
I'm sure there's seashells. Yep.
I don't know.
You take care, Jeff. Lars says the RP4 works great on the small stuff. Good. Yeah, Randy Girl's good. It's the ocean.
Yeah.
Did I get the right tone for that, Randy Girl?
I come from New England. I come from Massachusetts and Maine. They have seashells too, but not pretty ones.
Yeah.
Northern oceans don't make pretty shells the way tropical ones do.
Yeah. And they got lots of starfish. They got crabs too, I'm sure. Oh. Yep. Okay, glad I got it right, Rainy Girl. Anyhow, Well, we better call it quits. And I say, Rainy Girl, anytime you got questions or just want to hang out with some nice people here, okay? As you can tell, they're good people. They like helping people out when they can and stuff like that. It's not the biggest channel, but it's cozy. Yeah, exactly.
Only a little weird.
Yeah, it's a homey channel, and I'm a homely host. Good night, Chris, and thanks again for the chart. And again, anyone wants that chart, just email me, and I'll send you the PDF. And then he's going to come up with an even better one later. But yeah, to do fire assay on rock, if you don't have a really expensive scale and a big block of concrete to sit it on, this is the best way to go. Good night, Jim.
Good night, Jim. Good night, everybody.
Tell Lauren I'm taking the vehicle as arranged tomorrow morning. Do the best we can, Chris. A lot of it's beyond our control. You know how that goes. Any last questions or comments or anything, anyone? I gotta wait like 30 seconds for there's some kind of delay that takes care. Alrighty then, I haven't heard anything. Lodak says, hit the thumbs up or I will drop the gold price lower. Sleep carefully, says Chris. Yeah, she'll do her best.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. You take care, and thanks for showing up again. Bye-bye.